Good morning. I'm Jim Spencer. I'm with the Bluefield, West Virginia Economic Development Authority. It's a beautiful day in Bluefield, and we're glad that you're with us today. When we started our training programs several years ago, we wanted to provide them to where people could attend in person, by Zoom, or through our digital library, thereby taking away any excuse folks have for not getting the information that they need. So if it helps if people have childcare needs and things like that, or have to work and they want to watch this afterwards, we're proud to deploy this in those fashions. One of our key partners is Truist, and they have taught several classes for us. Most recently, a lot tied to our food truck incubator program. You could be the world's best chef. You could be the world's best in anything. But if you can't control your finances and accounting and cash flow and business basics, you're going to be in trouble. And I think that we can reduce the failure rate for a lot of our startup businesses through education. So Truist, thank you for again partnering with us on this program. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And good morning, everyone. We're happy you've made the decision to join Business Finance Basics, part of the Bank on Your Success program at Truist. In this course, you will learn steps to manage your cash flow, explore ways to expand, and understand insurance, all for your business. My name is Nicholas Hale, but you can call me Nick. I'm a specialist in Truist Premier Services at our Truist Care Center in Cookeville, Tennessee. I've been working there for the past 3 years or so, and I would just like to thank you all for attending our program about Business Finance Basics, part of the Bank on Your Success series offered by Truist. We appreciate everyone taking the time to attend today and who've helped to make this opportunity happen. Before we jump right in, I'd like to take the time to make some introductions. Of course, there I am. I got a much better picture on LinkedIn, by the way, I assure you. And then there are our presenters, Olivia and Ani, and last but not least, our chat facilitator, Jean. Would any of you panelists like to speak to what you do at Truist before we get started?
Sure. My name is Olivia Faria. I'm a relationship banker in Wilmington, North Carolina. I've been at this role for about 5 months now, so learning a lot and enjoying all of it. I help clients with business accounts, personal accounts, loans, things like that. Anything that someone would want to sit down in an office and speak with a banker about, that is what I do for Truist.
Excellent, thank you. Ani?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Annie Chaudhry, and I am in compliance governance. So there's oversight on the entire compliance in terms of risk controls and regulations. I've been with Truist less than, I would say, 8 months, but it's great. Prior to that, I was always involved in training, education, and so on and so forth. So great to be here. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And Jean?
Yes, good morning. I'm Jean Muller. I've been with Truist now for about 13 years. I was in the short sale department before I came into the process engineer. I'm also a procedure writer, so I assist with updating procedures and creating process maps. I was in the food truck business for 15 years before getting into the banking, so that helps me to be able to be a part of this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. All kinds of experience on board here. And with Truist, our purpose as a company and as a piece of the community is to inspire and build better lives and communities. As we execute on our purpose of inspiring and building better lives and communities, it's important that we exemplify the Truist values: trustworthy, caring, one team, success, and happiness. These are all important pieces of how we serve our clients, prospects, and our communities. It's what we stand for. And I hope we can show you a little bit about that today. Building our communities by supporting your small business. Truist celebrates small businesses, the creators, risk takers, and the backbones of our communities. You will find this in your handouts, but as a large bank with personal touch, we evolve with you as your needs evolve, because that's true partnership. We bring you hands-on advice and expertise for every stage of your business and reward you for your loyalty. With our committed investment in you, you can invest back in your community, and together we make our community strong. And if you have any needs along the way in starting a business, come to us or any bank, and we're more than happy to talk you through the steps of getting your business on its feet. So now let's look at what we're going to cover today. Improving the cash flow of your business, continue to build and expand your business, and protect your business. These are the three pillars of what we will be covering to help support a brand new business. The bulk of our time is going to be spent talking about these. And if you have any questions as we go through the presentation, feel free to ask them in the chat. Jean will collect these and we'll take some intermissions at the transition points. But we want to make sure that this is an interactive. Someone else might have the same question, but be hesitant to ask. So we're all friends here, so go ahead and ask away. We'll present several topics for discussion with lots of different exercises that you can participate through our time together. So let's get started. And with that, I'll turn it over to Olivia.
All right, thank you, Nick. So to begin, talking about some of business expectations. So a few good questions to think about if you're currently or thinking about starting a business are, how long have you been in business? What are your annual sales? Where do you see your business in 5 years? And what do you need to know, do, or learn to get there? So just some things to think about while we get started. Thank you. So in the business world, there are all sorts of businesses. Some offer products or services throughout the year, others are seasonal. Some serve customers all around the country, worldwide, while others are local and community focused. Your business might be online only or provide in-person services. Specific businesses' needs vary based on your business type, but there are things all businesses need to consider in order to manage your finances effectively, such as business banking accounts. So these are a good place to start if you have a business. We have several options here at Truist depending on the type of business and the volume of your sales. Additionally, efficient methods to receive payments from your customers. So we offer merchant services here for our clients. So that can mean scanners to read checks at high volume, or equipment to help process payments from debit or credit cards, as well as making payments to your suppliers. And we offer services like wires, checks, Zelle is another form. We also encourage the cash flow management tools that we offer. So we have lots of different digital banking tools that we offer for business clients, and access to credit lines or loans. This is very helpful for businesses that are looking to expand and have a little extra network of funds if needed. We also offer insurance coverage. So that's helpful to protect your business against theft as well as plagiarism of any kind. And then depending on where you are in your business, you may need one or two or possibly all of these options. So after the presentation, this would be page 9 on your business finance workbook, which we will touch on a little bit later. Next, we wanted to discuss your expectations for your business. So we'll talk about how to manage more specifically the business cash flow. So it's very important to create a clear boundary between your business and your personal finances, and there are benefits to this as well. Remember, many business expenses are tax deductible, like your office equipment, supplies, advertising, business travel, and employee salaries. However, it's important to keep accurate records of all your business spending, and having separate finances for your business helps you to do this. Just be sure to keep all of your spending records because many things you might not expect could actually be deductible at tax time. So for example, business financial accounts help you manage your business, understand and manage business cash flow, establish a professional reputation, and they also comply with IRS regulations. And then to compare with your personal finance accounts, these more specifically help you pay your bills at home, grow your retirement funds, support your household, while also reaching your personal goals. Thank you. It's important to keep business and personal finances separate, just like we said, and here are some ways to practice that. The easiest way to keep your business finances separate is to get an EIN, sometimes called a tax ID number, and it is used to open business checking accounts. Then use your business debit card to pay for everyday expenses, access cash, and make deposits at the ATM. Business credit cards, however, are also a great way to keep your business finances separate from your personal funds. Both come with fraud protection against unauthorized charges if your card is stolen or lost. But when you have both, you have multiple options to separate your business spending from your personal accounts. If you pay yourself a salary from your business, it's a good idea to transfer your paycheck to your personal checking account. Not only will this help your business, it will help you when it comes time to file your personal tax returns. And here are just kind of the steps and the things that are needed to open that said business banking deposit account. So each business owner separately will need this group of information to build the profile that we will use to build the business profile. So for the business owner, the personal profile will need to include a social security number. You will need to know your date of birth and your address. You will need to have a government issued ID, and you will need to know the individual percentage of the ownership within your company. And then following after that profile is made, we will make your business profile, which needs to include the legal business name, your federal tax ID or the EIN that I mentioned before, which is the employer identification number, as well as the business organization paperwork start date filed with the Secretary of State, as well as your business needs to have a physical address. And following, in addition to everyday purchases, you can give business debit cards to employees who need to make purchases or deposits, but with controlled spending limits and restricted access to account information, which kind of gives the power in the business owner's hands while also having, some help to do some of that work that we're not able to always have time for. A business credit card, however, provides a built-in grace period that can help your cash flow and can be a stepping stone to a business loan. When opening a business credit card, it's a good idea to put in the business names. To have it in the business names, it helps to guarantee. You also need to have that the card will be with your personal credit and funds, especially at first. So it is a good idea to keep it in the business name, but it will be associated with your personal credit. Be sure to pay your credit card bill from your business checking account and to limit spending to 20 to 30% of your overall credit limit, and to use the card responsibly to make sure you're making your payments on time and not going over the 20 to 30 threshold of that limit. To open either, though, you will need to know your EIN or tax ID number. So business debit cards are great for ATM access and everyday purchases. They also provide the employees who make the purchases for the business that access, and they are fraud protected, like I mentioned. Business credit cards, additionally, can be used for everyday purchases. They help control your cash flow, and the thing that sets them apart is that they do help establish credit history for your business, which is important. They additionally do also protect you from any fraud.
All right, thank you, Olivia. And we're going to pause for questions just a second, but one thing I want to bring up, because it seems to always come up whenever we're discussing business. A lot of people ask why they can't use a personal checking account, and it depends on your business structure. But speaking from my personal experience, even if you're technically able to use your personal checking account, it is to your advantage to go ahead and separate your personal and business finances. This helps organize your finances and makes them easier to understand when you're seeking any counsel from, say, like a banker, a CPA, even a lawyer. And this also makes it so that paying taxes and seeking financing is going to be much easier in the future. And it establishes just a clear line between you and your business for legal protection purposes as well. But before we go any further, Jean, did you have anything in the chat that came up that we needed to address?
Yes, Nick, there are two questions in the chat. And one is, I believe this was answered, but I'll go on and ask the question again. What materials or info do I need to have ready before opening a business bank account at a bank?
Yes, let's go back a bit for that. For here, these are the basic requirements. For sole proprietorships and for partnerships, we're going to need the social security number for sure. For corporations and LLCs, we're going to need like articles of incorporation or articles of organization, depending on your state and whether it's an LLC or corporation. You can get this information through like a CPA. They can get that set up for you, although you can do it on your own in some cases. But yeah, if you want to take a screenshot of this page, this is a great rundown on what you would need for anything like business financing, though. We're going to want like your past 2 years of personal financial statements and tax records. But once you have your business established for a few years running, we'll start to default to the business's record, basically. But getting started, you have to use your personal finances. What was the other question?
The other question, I believe you just answered, where do you receive the organization paperwork from? Does this come from the state once you register?
Yes, that is correct. Again, a CPA is a great resource. That's what I used to open an S corp whenever the pandemic was going on. I ran a small cleaning company, and that's how I got started. I just, with only about $600, got a business off the ground, and yeah, I was able to receive profits in the first year. Just help with the help of the CPA, they were able to guide me towards the steps of getting this established, getting a business deposit account open, and fielding any questions I had along the way, because I didn't have any acumen at the time. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just was trying to make something happen for a friend of mine. So it ended up working. But yeah, just leverage your network, leverage your professional resources.
Okay, those are all the questions in the chat box.
All right, let's go forward. All right, so what is cash flow? You'll find this in the end in your workbook on page 15. But in simple terms, cash flow is money in minus money out. And your business needs need adequate cash flow to meet operating needs and take advantage of cash opportunities as they arise. Your income brings in cash while your expenses outflow cash. And depending on the difference, your cash flow can be positive or negative. The important parts of this are collecting money and the timing of this, who your customers are, how do they pay you, when they pay you, and making payments. That is also an important part of this. How do you pay your bills and employees, managing, investing, and protecting your funds? How do you manage money day in to day out? And an important part of this is managing how late you can pay and versus when your payments come in. And sometimes having like a rotating line of credit, like a business credit card, can make sure that your business can stay afloat and stay liquid, make it so that people get paid. And this is just a general rundown of how you would organize your cash flow for a business. Think of it like a more complex check register in some ways. But think about how your business collects money, makes payments, and manages money. How would you answer these fundamental cash flow questions for your business? These answers will reveal to you how you get money in and how you make your payments out. First, who are your customers and how do they pay you? how do you like to get paid? Second, how do you pay your bills and pay your employees? And third, how do you manage your money day to day? If you have money left over, how do you manage it? Do you invest it? Do you just protect it and save it for a rainy day fund? But take some time to consider what kind of business you're interested in and what you think that may look like. Banker and CPA can help with answering some of these questions. And if you continue in your workbook, pages 16 and 17 will go a little bit over the cash flow statement. It talks about how it can reflect operational trends, identify cash flow fluctuations month to month. That's typically how you do it. Provides insight into your business liquidity. What we mean by that is essentially that you have cash on hand to make the payments for the things that you need to operate the business with. Credit can help with liquidity, but you can be in a position where, say, some vendor, you owe them a certain amount of money that you can't pay because you haven't had the payments from your clients come in yet. If you have like a payment plan set up, so sometimes something like a credit card can help smooth things over month to month. But a cash flow statement can also project your ability to pay expenses as they become due, like I was saying. But a cash flow statement is an estimation of income and expenses for a business over a set period, again, typically a month. You can use this tool to assess whether your business has sufficient cash to operate and can be a great planning tool. To make one, look at where cash is coming in versus coming out. You could regularly review, well, you should regularly review and compare your cash flow projections to your actual income expenses so you can adjust, find where there might be some shrink in your organization. You can review cash flow statements daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever interval best suits your business best. Again, monthly is standard. For example, a service-based business may want a daily cash flow statement to shorten the cash cycle and stay organized, especially if you get paid right away. And a seasonal business might prefer a cash flow with monthly intervals. But whatever works for your business is great. Just keep refining until you find out what works best. Let's spend a few minutes looking over your business cash flow cycle. All right. And this is pretty similar to what you'll have again on pages 16 and 17 about your cash flow statement. Anyone who has any sort of information on what kind of business you're interested in, I would consider trying to apply this statement to the business structure you have in mind, the type of business you have in mind, and think about how you might be filling in some of these blocks on this statement grid. And this is just a continuation of some of the things you may need to consider, like your materials, some of the travel expenses, utilities. A lot is tax deductible. And again, partnering with the CPA is great for figuring out what you are allowed to claim, because that makes a huge difference at the end of the year. Trust me. And some ways you may think to optimize your cash flow, reduce your operational costs, streamline accounts payable and accounts receivable processes, outsource time-consuming tasks, get rid of outdated and unused equipment, and evaluate your pricing for potential increases. Some of that is price shopping around, making sure what you are quoting your clients is within the spread of what's reasonable within the market that you're in. It paid for me in the cleaning business to reach out and see if there were some other businesses that could provide me a quote for a certain square footage, figured out if they did it by the hour, and understanding how your competition bills can help you to streamline and optimize your cash flow. what we mean by streamlining accounts payable and accounts receivable is, again, negotiating like with vendors. When you can pay them, paying later is always better, and getting paid earlier in is always better. But you have to think about how that will fit into your business structure, whether or not you're going to take cards, Zelle, any of those other merchant services we had discussed, or if you're okay with just getting paid in like checks. I know I operate my business partially on checks, partially on cash, but you have to think about what you can make your business operate with. Staying liquid is an important part of this process. But operational costs, some of that is just simply changing products that you're using, or changing how you go about certain processes. Like for the cleaning business, again, it was like changing different products, making sure that I could stay as cost effective as possible by buying in bulk versus buying it as I needed it. And that was huge on the reduction of cost. It changes your perspective on things, I'll say that. All right. And some things to ask yourself, how you could potentially optimize. I would write this first one down for sure. What are your biggest expenses? For me, that was the cleaning products. You had to use like a natural brand, and that was part of our selling point, was that we'd use things that were non-irritating and helped clients with even sensitive skins, allergies, and such. But of course, that came with the cost. So buying in bulk was one of the things that we cut our biggest expense in our business. Another question you can ask are there areas you could cut costs? You can think of this like, say like the mileage that you pay. That is something that, there is a lot of flexibility with. I believe, I don't quote me on this, but I believe it's somewhere around 56 cents is what you can pay per mile. You can pay less, but you can pay up to 56 cents to reimburse yourself or your employees. So think about where there's some wiggle room. Your CPA, again, will be a great resource on this to help you plan. And are there ways to optimize accounts payable and accounts receivable processes? Again, like I said, a business credit card can help you with that. If you're struggling with your cash flow and staying liquid, that can make it so that from month to month, you can ensure that those accounts that you're going to receive payment for, you can receive payment for and still deliver your service while you don't have a lot of cash on hand. But nearly every business has opportunities to optimize cash flow. Just remember, cash flow is money in minus money out. Write that one down. Cash flow is money in minus money out. So you can either bring in more money or decrease how much your business spends. And saving on small expenses can add up to big savings over the course of the year. You can look a little bit over this information we have on page 18 of your workbook if you'd like. Okay. And let's pause for questions again. Did anything come up in the chat, Gene?
At this time, there are no questions in the chat box.
All right, we'll go forward then on
Okay.
how ways you can build and expand your business. So now that we've discussed some of the business foundational tools, let's just discuss some strategies that can help you to streamline and operate more efficiently as you grow your business. Olivia had mentioned this earlier, a bit about some of the merchant services that are available to you. Payment acceptance is a big thing to consider for your business, including debit, credit, and mobile payments like Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay. Payment processing such as credit card terminals and mobile swipers. Customer analytics, so you can understand your target market. It's getting a little bit into the data science end of things. And transaction protection against fraud and data theft. You get that with a bank anywhere you go. And whenever it comes to debit, credit card, mobile payments, you have to think again about what kind of business you're operating. Are your clients going to be approaching you with cards, or are you going to be meeting them in the convenience of their home and they might cut you a check? Or is it something that you believe might just be a cash operated business because of the very nature, like say a dry cleaner, not dry cleaner, but a laundromat, something like that. it entirely depends on what your business looks like. Again, a CPA or a banker can be a great resource on figuring out what kind of services you're going to need. But you can look a little bit over pages 20 and 21 of your workbook for more details on this. But the best way to increase sales and streamline cash flow is to use the right technology. Merchant services help your business by allowing you to accept a variety of payments and handle the payment processing for you. You'll also get access to analytics, which can increase customer loyalty, transaction protection against fraud, and more secure payments. Think about customer analytics as just doing your business smarter and using some of the data that is out there and analyzing it in a way that helps to promote the growth of the business and target who exactly your customer is, who is showing up and what are they buying or what kind of services they want in the given market. So there's a lot to take in on that, but the more you learn, the more power it is to you. And I had talked on this a little bit about merchant services, like say a food truck. Card processing, I feel like it is essential for something like that. There's going to be people walking up with cards. Of course, people will still use cash, but we know how the trend is going on that. More people are using cards nowadays than ever before. So how do you currently accept payments for your business is a big question to ask. Which methods do you accept so customers can pay quickly and easily? And what type of business do you have? Again, like cash operated businesses might not need something like a card. A laundromat, I don't think I've ever actually seen one that uses a card inside one of those. So just think about what kind of business you're going to be having in the long run, and we can help you, or any banker can help you with what type of services you might be needing for your business to best operate and cut costs where need be. But a little more information again, pages 20 and 21, if you want to look over this and follow along in your notebook. And why does a business need to grow or need to borrow? Of course, growth is a big portion of this. Expand or lease a new location, purchase new equipment, tools or supplies. Look down the list here. There's all different kinds of ways that borrowing can benefit you. Sooner or later, most growing businesses will need to borrow money, and usually that's a good thing. It means the business is thriving. And again, here are some of the reasons you might consider borrowing for your business. I'm sure there's a lot of questions about business borrowing. If there's anything in the chat, we can pause here for just a moment. Did anything come up in the chat yet?
Yes, Nick, there's a question. Do you all have any recommendations for transaction protection or tips concerning this?
Transaction protection. Well, we have an entire account security and claims division here at Truist, and if say like I suppose I'd need a little bit more information on what exactly we're looking for in terms of the transaction protection. Like, are we afraid that they might be committing some sort of fraud or using someone else's information, something like that? Because we have all different kinds of protections in terms of protecting our clients against fraud of any sort. But is there any way the person who asked that question could elaborate a bit more?
Okay, if they do, I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, if you would, whoever had asked that, just write a little bit more on that, just what you're looking for in terms of transaction protection. But for now, we'll continue on. Ani, would you? Oh, actually, sorry, Olivia, I believe it's you are up next at this. So
That's
if
right.
you would.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nick. So here are some of the options for borrowing solutions that we offer here at Truist. The first one being a small business loan, which is convenient. It is just one lump sum, and it is not requiring any collateral that's attached. So that is convenient for a lot of small business owners to start with. And then more specifically, depending on what you are looking to borrow for, you could possibly take advantage of the small business auto loans that we offer, and this could be used to replace or upgrade vehicles that are used for your business, for delivery, for transit, for any number of reasons. We offer that. We also have small business commercial vehicle and equipment loans. So this is kind of tying in to the auto loan, but you can purchase vehicles again and equipment and also have very competitive interest rates. We also have small business real estate loans, which are good if you are looking to invest in locations and properties. And then lastly, we have line of credits, which is convenient because you pull from it when you need it. You only pay interest when you pull from it. And it can, depend on when you have high volumes of sales, such as seasonal cash flow, if you need to expand your inventory or just need a new opportunity. Business loans and credit lines can help accelerate your business growth. It can also help overcome cash flow issues while not diluting your equity. And then no matter which loan you choose, you must use the funds for business-related purposes. Loans are paid back within a set period and usually in fixed payments. This allows you to predict your monthly payments and better manage your cash flow. Lines of credit, on the other hand, provide funds only when you need them. And these are mostly used for short-term expenses like payroll or inventory. You are approved for a specific credit limit, and then you pay, like I said, only the interest on the amount that you use. And then once you repay the amount that you borrow, that amount becomes available again for future use. It's kind of like a pool that you only pull from when needed, and it is there once you replenish it. Additionally, if you don't have established credit history for your business, a secured loan or a line of credit is another way your business can access loans and have funds if needed. With these loans, you pledge collateral to secure the loan, and examples of those would be accounts receivable, equipment, vehicles, or your personal assets. Typically, the type of collateral is tied to the purpose of the loan or the line of credit. For example, the equipment would serve as collateral for an equipment loan, if that makes sense. And then just some things to know about business loans specifically. They are the best type of financing for your business, depending on the situation. Credit cards, like I mentioned, are a great way to start building credit. But we also have the option of the secured credit card. And then many business loans are unsecured, meaning they're not supported. They are supported by your credit worthiness and then don't require any collateral. But we also always offer that secured option as well. Always make sure the loan terms align with your expected cash flow. It's really important, as you know, to make sure that the payments are made by the due date and with the accurate amount. This way, it is helpful to build that credit so you can continue with further loans or any type of borrowing that you may need that is unsecured and based only on your creditworthiness. And then by successfully repaying the business-related loans, like I said, it builds your credit score. And if you decide to borrow, expect that each month you'll need to pay interest. Usually it's some portion of the outstanding loan balance. And as well, you may be required to provide your personal guarantee for some of those business loans. And right here, this is page 24 in your workbook. It is kind of a word bank that you match with a definition. So the word bank here is equipment loans, unsecured, line of credit, term loans, secured, and small business loans. So based on some of the things I mentioned previously, those words correlate with their definitions on the right-hand side.
All right, let's pause for questions just a moment. Jean, did anything new come up or any extrapolation of that previous question? Anything come through yet?
Yeah, there's some clarification. The they're wanting to know basic tips for protecting customers' personal information during or after transactions.
Oh, I see. Well, Olivia, do you have any insight on the merchant services you might want to share about that?
Sure. So I know that we offer fraud protection. So like Nick said, we have a whole department that conducts investigations if there is any issues with fraud or information leaking, but we are a very secure company that makes sure that we have all the measures in place. However, we have merchant service specialists that kind of individually go over information with a business to make sure that all your information is protected accurately.
Excellent. Thank you, Olivia. And it does depend on your business. Whenever I ran a cleaning service, I had a pretty antiquated system with my checks. I would essentially take the checks I received from clients and put them in a metal locked box until I would deposit them at the end of the week. It was pretty simple. I made sure to keep the client's private account and routing information, all the details that were listed on their check in a metal lockbox. I didn't let anyone except the employee who collected them for me to see this. And that's how I assured that I was protecting my clients. I didn't accept card payments. I'm unsure what all that entails in terms of protecting it. I believe it would be secured, like swiping or tapping the card, goes to the bank, it's processed, or the card processor, and then goes to the bank. And in that case, we wouldn't normally like collect any card information. So if you are handling something like checks, just be sure to keep that information private as you would your own information. That's how you build trust with your clients. But yeah, it really does depend on the type of business you're operating. And if you have a specific business in mind, we'd be happy to talk to you about that at length. One of our bankers would, or well, if you have a CPA or anything like that, I'm sure they could offer you a bit of insight as well, how some of their other clients might do it. But from here, we'll be discussing a bit about our insurance and the ways you can protect your business. So if you would, Ani,
Nick,
just,
sorry to interrupt. Before you move, there's another question in the chat box.
oh yes, what was the other question?
It
Sorry.
is for property investments. Where can we find an Excel template that allows us to plug in projections for a short-term rental or anything dealing with real estate investments?
Let's see. I am unsure if we have any resources for that on this particular slide deck, but there's all different kinds of information out there. Do any of the panelists have any information specific to real estate investment, like for predicting projections for cash flow? I don't know if any of you deal with clients who are in real estate investment particularly.
I just Google it.
Fair enough. But whenever it comes to businesses that require some sort of like financing, real estate is one that would generally require financing unless you have a lot of cash on hand or investors. So one thing that I would mention is that a lot of businesses, for their collateral, they do start off with using something like a home loan or something if they need like large financing. They will use like their home as collateral for a larger loan to get their business off the ground and really taken off. But there's different ways you can do that through private investing, and there's all different kinds of tools online for looking up ways you can project cash flow. I know that what we have is pretty bare bones just for any business. That's what we went for, what we can apply to that. But yeah, if you have a particular business in mind that has to deal with real estate, commercial or residential, then I would sit down with a banker with your business plan and see what they have to say, like, and take the criticism, of course, with a grain of salt. You would be speaking with someone who's a banker at whatever organization you choose to bank with, and they would try to figure out a way that they could potentially help you, but you also need to hear them out as a professional counsel. Same as a CPA, you would want to hear what they have to say about your business plan and whether or not they actually believe it would be viable in the given market. So again, I feel like it's a bit of a cop out, but leverage your network. Find people who are in the business who can give you some guidance on this. Right now, it's a little bit outside of the purview of what we're discussing, but I would say look online for those real estate cash flow tools. And again, talk to a banker, talk to a CPA about your particular plan, and they may poke some holes in it, but they will help you go in the right direction with this. All right. Was there anything beyond that in the chat right now, though?
No, Nick, you're good.
All right. In that case, Ani, would you mind from here? I'm unsure if you're muted. I just don't hear anything yet.
Sorry about that. Right now, we're going to be looking into business insurance. So we're going to be talking in depth about what insurance is, why it's needed, and how it's going to protect your business. As with many business owners, your sole source of income may come from your business. You might also have your personal money pledged for business collateral. As your business grows and your cash flows increase, you'll want to protect your business, your income, and your employees as your staffing needs grows. So every business needs insurance, even if it's just basic coverage. So these three points noted here, these are very important points to note, and also work with your insurance professional to determine the appropriate coverage needed for your business. Okay. All right. Some of the potential, these are some of the potential risk, as you can see, includes disability, theft, cybercrime, fire, property damage, vehicle accidents, missed wages. So work with your insurance professional, determine the appropriate coverage. And every business has realistic concerns, depending, and particularly if they serve customers or clients in person. We, of course, hope none of these ever happen to any business. Accidents do happen, and you could be never too careful, especially with physical locations and when employees are present. Okay. We're going to be discussing a little bit more in depth about business insurance. Obviously, you can see here, there's commercial, general liability coverage, life and disability insurance coverage. There are many types of insurance to consider. The coverage you need and the amounts of coverage may vary depending on the type of business you have, the size of your business, and the amount of risk your business is willing to assume. It's a good idea, again, to work with your insurance professional to understand the right solution for your business. And while it might feel like another thing to do or more expenses to pay, insurance can cover you if unforeseen events ever happen, which, you know, this is why insurance is there, for your protection. Okay, and obviously, give me one moment here. Just go back to, Nick, if you could go back to the prior slide.
Of course.
So, yes, here. So just to recap here and to note for the audience here is just to, you know, look at how commercial property insurance works and what they cover. General liability and life and disability insurance covers. Some businesses, depending what their needs are, you could work with your insurance professionals to select the appropriate, you know, requirements that you need. Okay. And we continue to the next one. Obviously, workers' comp, commercial auto insurance, business interruption insurance, and cyber fraud insurance. So these are a few of the other types of business insurance that you may or may not need, obviously depending on your business size, your employees, and the business property. and it gives you a brief description on how each of them functions. Okay. And last but not least, these are a little business insurance knowledge check. If anyone, you could feel free to look it over. And so here are a few informations like, business insurance helps protect your business. So you could focus on running it. Obviously that is important, that is true. Minor mishap could happen, could lead to large lawsuits. That is true. If your business has employees, you should have workers' comp insurance, which is absolutely, correct. You definitely need that coverage. If you talk about property, if you rent your space, you don't need commercial property insurance. That's false. You absolutely need, property insurance in the event something, mishap happens. You definitely need that coverage. And last but not least, they always say if you're young and able-bodied, you don't need life and disability insurance. You can never see what's foreseen in the future. So you'd have to reevaluate, you would have to, that is false. You definitely need to evaluate what is that you feel and what are the needs that you need for insurance. So again, talk with your insurance professional, especially when you have your own business, what is needed. And we talked about a few of the elements that what kind of coverage that you need in order to avoid potential risk from occurring. All right. And if anybody has any questions, we could open for discussions here.
All right, there is a question in the chat box. If you're running your business from your home, would you need another layer of insurance to cover damage to your home/office space?
This is a great question. I do have to admit, I would default to speaking to an insurance provider. Whenever I ran my business, I did not insure the property I was at. I was actually renting a home at the time, and I operated my office out of one of the rooms there. And the square footage is something that can be tax deductible if you use that room solely for that purpose. And you can talk to a CPA about that specifically. However, I did not maintain renter's insurance nor business insurance for the property itself. So what I would recommend is speaking with your insurance provider for your home insurance and letting them know that you operate a business out of that location. So that way they might be able to expand your coverage depending on what kind of liability you're taking on by keeping client information on hand, employee files on hand, because
Right.
some things you do have to keep like an I-9 on record, a paper copy in case, the government needs to check in on the legality of your employer of your employees. So you have to have that paper copy with a wet signature on it. And I believe a insurance provider would be the best one to ask what you would need to do to expand your coverage to protect you in those cases.
Right.
Okay.
Anything beyond that?
No, at this time, there are no other questions in the chat box.
All right. So next steps, I'd say, what are 3 action items that can help you to achieve your business goals? Based on everything we've talked here, I would say that what helped me the most was building my professional team in the beginning, which was essentially just, oh, what was that? I guess I had some feedback on my end, but what helped me the most was getting a CPA, a banker, and an insurance provider to help answer some of the questions for my particular situation. Learning how to build a cash flow statement and maintain that so I stayed liquid. I didn't have to use any business lending, but that may not be the case for you. And speaking with a banker would be the best way for you to get an idea of what you would need to do for your personal credit or your particular situation to make it so that you'd be eligible for the lending you need to get your business up and running. It's a very valuable tool, the cash flow statement. And of course, being able to write a business plan, that is something that you would want to go and meet with a banker and provide if you are going to look for any sort of funding from a financial institution. We'd want to know your business cash flow statement and your business plan. If the business hasn't been formed yet, then of course, business plan, 2 years of financial records, and some of the other information we had mentioned earlier. If you had taken a screenshot of that, that has some valuable information on what we need just to open any business account in general. But just consider for yourself, what are 3 things that you could do that'll help you and your business plan to succeed? And in conclusion, we'll use the remainder of our time to discuss any of the topics we've covered in more detail. Feel free to ask questions and ask for additional resources. We're here to help make your business a success. And in this case, does anyone have any further questions regarding any of the topics we had discussed here today?
Right now, there are no additional questions in the chat box.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for attending and investing in your future. If you have any questions, you can stop by any of our Truist locations. I'm sure a banker would be more than happy to help you answer some of these questions. If you have any reason to present your business plan for funding or anything like that, or if you just want to know where to get started, we'd be more than happy to help. But if that'll be everything, I'm going to turn this over to the facilitators over at DAGBA, and thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Nick, and to our other presenters. Before we hop off, I am going to share a quick survey link with you all. All right, so you should see the screen with the survey link. This is just a survey that we here at BETA provide. We like to gain feedback on how you think the class went and what other topics would best serve you in the future. So you could head to that link right there that is listed and also scan the QR code with a smartphone camera. But if there are no other questions, we will conclude today's class. Again, thank you to Nick and all of our presenters. And thank you to everyone who is joining us either in person or online today. Thank you so much.